What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to a very special From Screen to Shelf review. As always, I am Chase. So today, what we have for you is Reptilicus, a kaiju. It's a Danish-American kaiju movie. A little bit of a story that I'll get into here in a minute, but this is one of Vinegar Syndrome's new July releases. I did get my hands on it. I'm a sucker for kaiju movies, and I'm even more of a sucker for Vinegar Syndrome releases. So I did blind buy this. I had never seen it before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my thoughts on the movie and then kind of do a little bit of an unboxing, let you know what's inside of this beautiful, beautiful full slip. So Reptilicus is more or less about like a wyvern or like dragon-esque lizard snake thing that just kind of starts doing kaiju things as in most kaiju movies. And the story is very, very dragged out, especially for like its time. And while I talk, I'll go ahead and unbox it. So there's the full slip right there. Boom, boom, boom. Um, so in general, it had some really, 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 really cool parts and some really cool bits and pieces. Some scenes I really liked. There's a scene whenever they first discover Reptilicus, they just start bombing him underwater, and the way it was shot was pretty cool. It looked really, really nice, but I can't really say much good about the movie otherwise. There's a another release they did around this time last year called Gorgo. If you've been familiar with that, that's kind of the England's take on a kaiju movie, and I had a little bit of fun with that. It wasn't my favorite, but I was happy to own it, and I've watched it a couple of times since then. Whenever I really have a kaiju kick, and don't feel like going for the traditional Godzilla take. So this one doesn't really quite hit that spectrum. Like I did buy blind buy this, and I usually like to buy things I intend on watching. Vinegar Syndrome being the one that I kind of blind buy a little bit more than I'd like to or like to admit. And I wasn't overly pleased with it all. And so two Blu-rays, one 4K. And then if you're familiar with the Gorgo release, they did like an anatomy of the creature little poster, and that's the same thing. It breaks down Reptilicus's anatomy. So this is presented in 4K HDR with a mono audio track. It is scanned from the original 35 millimeter camera negative, and I can say I checked out a little bit. I kind of scene skipped to very particular things that I kind of had gripes with whenever it came to the 4K. I don't think that this is Vinegar Syndrome's biggest home run, to be honest with you. It's just it doesn't look that great. Now, there's nothing in here, and I'll break down the special features here in a minute. There's nothing really in here that really screamed this needed to be on 4K. Now, it is a noticeable upgrade from the Blu-ray, but it wasn't big enough for me to be like, okay, I see why. There's been some Vinegar Syndrome releases where like the HDR will really carry it, this, that, and everything. But the camera elements for the elements for the film negative had to have been in relatively rough shape because the transfer looks really, really rough. It looks really good at certain scenes, like whenever they first find this more like biological, like organic matter, and they're like chipping at it at the beginning of the movie. It actually even shows that part. I think it might be on the back of the. No, it's not. It's one of the things that plays during the main menu whenever you're selecting, like, setup, play movie, whatever the case may be. And it looks really good. The scene, like what I mentioned earlier, where they're bombing Reptilicus under the ocean, looks really, really good. The part where Reptilicus starts wrecking havoc, it looks pretty good. But the rest of it's pretty high and low. It's very hit or miss. That's why I want to kind of give it the benefit of the doubt that the elements had to have been in pretty rough shape. Plus, this isn't like the biggest cult classic. It's another kaiju movie from around the time that kaijus were really, really popular. So with that being said, I know this is going to be one of my harsher reviews. Whenever it comes to the movie itself, I'm going to give it probably a strong 4 out of 10. I know, like, it's still fun. I had some good moments with it, but overall, unless I'm doing a kaiju fest, I'll probably only pop this in then and check it out. I just really, really became a sucker for that full slip. It just looked really good. Reminded me of how good the Gorgo one was. For the transfer, I'm going to give it, I'd say, about a 6 out of 10. I'd say it's okay. I can see why they did it, but at other points throughout the movie, I was like, why did this need a 4K? Why didn't it just come out standard Blu-ray? And I want to kind of give it a bigger benefit of the doubt, especially when comparing the Blu-ray to it, that it's more than just we can make more money off of 4K. And I really don't want to kind of put it out there that way. Because Vinegar Syndrome does some of the best work in the business, especially for the things that they get. Sometimes they're getting lost movies. Sometimes they're getting movies where they've been rotting and they're very lucky and fortunate to even get it out there. They usually only put things out in 4K, or if it's not possible or the resolution isn't the biggest difference, they'll put it in for 2K, downscale it to a 1080p disc, and then publish it that way. Even like one of their newer releases that I'll be reviewing pretty soon, 8 Eyes, was finished in 4K but only got a Blu-ray release. Sometimes that's just how it is. The HDR, I didn't notice the biggest, most absolute ginormous difference in it. So that's probably why I'm being a little bit on it. The audio sounded fine. It wasn't a home run. It was a good solid 7 out of 10. Nothing really to run home about. But let me go ahead and break down because there is a little bit that goes into Reptilicus and what they did on here. So the 4K includes the 82-minute feature presentation of Reptilicus presented in HDR and newly restored from its 35mm original camera negative, with the following sound options: original English language mono soundtrack and a brand new commentary track with film historian Nicholas Barbano and novelist and critic Kim Newman. Also included are 2 Blu-ray discs. Blu-ray disc contains everything on the on the 4K disc, plus the following special features: 50 million years out of time revisiting of Reptilicus. It runs 32 minutes long. It's really, really, really cool. I like that. And it's a retrospect featuring film historian producer Robert Parigi and screenwriter film historian C. Courtney Joyner. Pink Goes West, Life After Reptilicus, 11 minutes, an interview with filmmaker historian Jay Jennings. Invincible, Indestructible, 29 minutes, illustrator, author, and film historian Stephen R. Bissett and on Reptilicus and its enduring legacy. I didn't watch that one. I just watched the first one. I wasn't really too excited to dig into it, but I mean, the one I did watch was really solid. If you're a Reptilicus fan and you do enjoy this movie, pretty much this whole package is going to do it for you, especially for this last bit. A lot of people don't realize that there's 2 cuts. There's the English language cut, which runs at the 82 minutes, and then there's a Danish language version of Reptilicus that runs an additional 13 minutes. I actually didn't know that before buying this, and I did read the back of it, and I didn't notice quite what the difference was, but there is quite a bit of difference when I was doing some research prior to going on here. And it's a 95-minute Danish language version of Reptilicus with newly translated English subtitles. So that's a pretty big deal. If you're a Reptilicus fan, I don't know if there's an old Scream / Shout Factory release that came out as a double feature with another movie on there. That was the last time it was on home media, was back in about 2014-15 or so. So if you are a Reptilicus fan, this is the thing to get. If you're a big kaiju fan, there's really no reason to skip this. The price is a little bit steep. I believe it's retailing for about $35 to $38. So I mean, it'd be pretty easy to pass on as a blind buy, or probably grab it on one of their Black Friday sales for sub 30, or even skip altogether the full slip and the slip cover, and you can get it for probably around 20 around Black Friday. If it's something where you feel like you need to have it in your collection, by all means, go for it. It's just based on what I saw, I don't know if I'll be revisiting anytime soon. The overall package, I'll give it about a solid 6 out of 10. Didn't care much for the movie. The 4K transfer was pretty hit or miss. The audio was okay. And then the special features are really good for those that really care about kaiju / Reptilicus. And the packaging is awesome. Vinegar Syndrome is amazing. It's just like Second Sight. They always kill it with their packaging. So without further ado, let me know if you guys got Reptilicus down below. I'd be curious, how do you feel about the movie? Even if you're just checking this out to see how the 4K looks or get an opinion on it, definitely let me know. Are you a bigger Reptilicus fan than I am? Because I really didn't have a lot of fun with it, and maybe this is going to be one of those reviews where, you know, my words bite me and I end up liking it a lot more on some rewatches, because that happens to me all the time, where I end up liking it way more upon different viewings. So like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time on another From Screen to Shelf review. You guys stay safe out there.